Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports History with Mr. Velisi. I'm super excited to get the opportunity for me to share my love of sports with you guys. Now, I really wish that we were together in a classroom doing this together. We could be exploring them, both learning and actually playing. Of course, you can get out there and play sports too at home. Get out there with your friends if you're allowed to, your family. Go outside and play. But hopefully, this fall we'll be back together and we'll be able to maybe explore some of these games and activities and sports together. But again, this is Mr. Velisi. Many of you must know me by now. I've been doing 21st Century since the beginning. I'm sure I've had a bunch of you in my class or I've crossed paths with you. And I'm excited for you to be part of this. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that we have going on. What is a team? Now, this is something that's kind of big and important in sports. When we really talk about sports and we start discussing it, we're going to talk about teams. And what does that mean to be a team? I'm really focusing on four major sports, and each one of them happens to be team-based. Okay, so we have football, which is a team, baseball, a team, soccer, which is a team, and of course, basketball, which is a team. You can be great at any of those sports. You can be incredible. But if you're not a good teammate, you do not form a good team, it's very difficult for you to be successful. So what I did was I found this little montage put together of speeches that has to do with teams. I want you guys to listen to it. Check it out. It should inspire you. If you played any sports in your life, even watch sports, you know how important it is to be a good teammate, how important it is to support each other, how important it is for your coach to see that you guys can put this together. And a good coach inspires you. A good coach will get you ready to play that sport, get you excited, and make you want to win. So let's check out this video and see what we think.
Great moments are born from great opportunity.
You shouldn't have any doubt in your mind about what you're supposed to do tonight and about how you're supposed to do it.
This is your time.
Now,
I don't want them to gain another yard.
We got to go out there and we got to take it.
Take their game and you shove it right back in their face.
That's how winning is done.
Team's something you belong to, something you feel, something you have to earn.
If we don't come together,
It's over.
And I guarantee you, we won't go by in your life. You won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of it.
I'll ask you one last time.
To be the best that you can be.
Play like champions.
Win.
it's about heart. It's about who can go out there and play the hardest.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game. In my book, we're going to be winners.
In any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die,
Willing to take the hits.
who's going to win that inch.
Let me tell you something you don't let anything,
Nothing come between us.
On this team, we fight, and we shut them down because we can.
I happen to think that video was pretty great. Hopefully you did too. It's inspirational. These are all little clips from all different kinds of movies. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a list of all those movies in case you want to check them out. I'll let you know which ones are appropriate or maybe inappropriate. You should definitely ask your mom and dad before you watch any of them. There's a bunch of sports movies out there. I'm going to dive into some of them too during this time together. So when we go over each individual sport, I'm going to tag on to them some movies that you might want to watch to check them out. I love movies. I love sports. What more can I want? And some movies that are sports-based are my favorite movies of all time. And maybe they will be for you as well one day. So let's continue moving through our slides. And first up is going to be football. I love football. I grew up with football, watching it and playing it. Never played really organized football other than Pee Wee League, but I did play with my friends constantly. It was a great time, 5-on-5, 6-on-6, 8-on-8, whatever it was. And I do happen to love two teams. A college team I love is Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. They're the blue and gold over on the left side of your screen right here. Beautiful team, beautiful helmets. They shine. The helmets are actually slightly covered in gold. There's a gold flecks are put into the paint when they paint the helmets to make them really shine. And New York Jets, they're not the best team, but they are my team, and I love the Jets. And one thing about sports, if you love sports and you know about sports, you love your team no matter what. Whether your team is great or they stink, you sit there and you love them. You stick with them through day one to the last day of the season. That's how I feel. Now, for me, Notre Dame would have been easier pick. I decided to leave Notre Dame out because they're a little bit better than the Jets are. So I thought I'd bring you a little Jet video that got me excited. If you're a Jet fan, it should get you excited. If you're not a Jet fan, sit back and enjoy. Maybe you'll like it. But remember, football is a team game. It's one of the most popular sports in all of America. And I really, really hope we get some football come this fall. This whole situation is crazy, but I'd really, really like to see the Jets play again, as well as any team you like. I'm sure you want to see them back out on the field as well.
If you be unselfish, if you don't think about yourself, if you don't think about that, all the thousands of fans standing on the outside, put your mind frame on the field. Keep your mind frame on the field. And when you step off that bus, you tighten up your tie and you say, this is my business trip. Are you going to close the deal or are you going to fold?
Return to the Mac. Get up what it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit me get up. First shot, strut walking, a little bit of humble, a little bit of cautious, somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby's for the game. No, y'all can't copy yet. Moonwalking, and this here is our party. My posse's been on Broadway, and we did it all with chrome music. I shed my skin and put my bones into everything I record to it. And yeah, I'm on. Let that stage light go and shine on down. Got that Bob Barker suit game and Plinko in my style. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. But I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me, on my INDEPENDENT hustling. Chasing dreams since I was 14 with the 4-track bustin'. Halfway across that city with the back crush shit. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country.
Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Now, can I kick it? Thank you. Yeah, I'm so grateful. I grew up really wanna go fronts, but that's what you get when Wu-Tang raised you. Y'all can't stop me. Go hard like I got an 808 in my heartbeat. And I'm eating at the beat like it gave a little speed to a great white shark on shark week. Gonna go up, gone. Deuces goodbye. I got a world to see. And my girl, she wanna see Rome. Caesar make you a believer. Nah, I never ever did it for a throne. That validation comes from giving it back to the people. Now, sing this song and it goes like, raise those hands, this is our party. We came here to live life like nobody was watching. I got my city right behind me. If I fall, they got me. Learn from that failure, gain humility, and then we keep marching.
And we go back. This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Go back. This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
And all my people say, and all my people say,
Here we go back. This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Wow, that was a great video. Sorry it didn't work embedded in here. I'm surprised that it didn't, but at least it's there. So now we have the next sport to talk about is basketball. Now, this is a sport that you can easily get out there.
Tonight announced that they have dismissed Todd Bowles.
Apologize for that. Basketball is definitely a sport you can get out there and you can start playing and you can work on and you can really, really, really do without anyone else around, right? You can just shoot baskets and shoot baskets, okay? Basketball has been a sport I've loved since I was a little kid. Not going to lie, not very good at it, but I do love basketball. I love college basketball just as much as I like professional basketball. And the pros, I'm a big Brooklyn Nets fan. You can see they have that hype logo right here. You know, it's represent. This year was kind of shut down, but their future looks great with the Nets with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. They're going to be a good team. Now, Duke, that's my college basketball team. They're a great team pretty much every year, and I just love watching Duke play. So let's check this one out. A little video from Duke. I mean, I love it. Hopefully you do too. If you don't like Duke, just bear with it, okay? It's a good video. I enjoy it. You should too.
And that is going to do it. Kansas is still dancing and heading to San Antonio.
Will you hold the line when every one of them is giving up and giving in? Tell me, in this house of mine, nothing ever comes without a consequence and cost. Tell me, will the stars align? Will heaven step in? Will it save us from our sin? Will it? Cause this house of mine stands strong. That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another product of today. Rather be the hunter than the prey. And you're standing on the edge, face up, cause you're a natural. I bleed it harder, don't you gotta be so cold to make it in this world. Yeah, you're a natural, living your life control. You gotta be so cold. Yeah, you're a natural. Will somebody let me see the light within the dark trees shadowing what's happening? Looking through the glass, find the wrong within the past, knowing we are the youth. Caught until the face out of wood without the peace, facing a bit of the truth. the truth. That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another product of today. Rather be the hunter than the prey. And you're standing on the edge, face up, 'cause you're a natural. I'm feeling hot as stone. You gotta be so cold to make it this world. Yeah, you're a natural. Living your life control. You gotta be so cold, a natural.
What a great video, huh? Again, I love Duke. That's me sharing my love of sports with you. That's me showing you my team. A little hype video. You've seen Zion Williamson in there. He's a beast. I mean, when I talk about basketball, I'm definitely going to talk about him. He's one of the future stars of the NBA, if he's not already a star. Guy's a monster. I'm sure many of you know that already. He's savage. What are you going to say? Okay, so let's look up. Speaking of savages, next up, baseball. Now, I grew up loving baseball. It's not as popular as it used to be. It's a little bit harder to play. You kind of need more people to get out there and get a good game in. I get it, but I love baseball. We're going to spend time talking about baseball. In college, there's a team called Pepperdine. They're also the Wave. We're the Green Wave. They're the Wave, the Pepperdine Wave. And in professional baseball, I like the New York Yankees. They are by far my favorite team, probably of all teams, even though I do probably like watching football more than I like watching baseball. The New York Yankees are my favorite team. We're going to learn a lot about this sport from its origins a long, long time ago, where baseball was actually segregated, where people of color weren't allowed to play in the professional leagues. They had their own league, which was unfortunate because there were a lot of great stars that could have been part of the sport at that time. It's probably incredible athletes, incredible baseball players that didn't get their fair chance because of how racist times were back then. But we're going to talk about that. We'll learn about baseball. We'll learn about how it developed over time, how it's changed, and how it's really become just one of my favorite sports, okay? So we're going to learn a lot about it, and everyone hopefully will enjoy it. So here's one additional video for you to check out. Speaking of savages.
Tremendous play. Oh my goodness. Oh, he can do it all! Ball game! The Yankees walk it off with a sweep. David John makes long gone.
Bring all the savages, eating your life, the original, feelings in the night. We are the savages, we are the savages. You're not invisible.
There you go. They are savage, like I told you. Yankees, I don't know. I'm a Yankee fan, so if you're a Yankee fan and you're watching this, it's got to get you hyped. Hopefully baseball season is going to get going. I just heard that they're thinking about a 60-game season, which is very short. but it's better than no season. That's the way I look at it, okay? I'd be very excited to see the Yankees playing again. Just sports out in general. Too much inside. We need more of these outside activities. I really hope things get better quick so we can get into seeing some of these sports played live. The sport you've probably all been waiting for. I know you guys wanted to know when I was going to get to it, and this is soccer. I know soccer is it, because when we have our signups for electives, I mean, basketball is popular. Nothing is as popular as Dungeon Ball, my personal favorite. Me and Mr. Trez. Shout out to Mr. Trez. Other than those two, soccer fills up the best, and I see everyone out there loving it and playing. And even when we go outside and say, hey, free for all, people want to play soccer. So let's talk about that a little bit right now. We're going to spend a good deal of time, again, looking at the history, the origins of all these sports. Definitely time is going to be spent on soccer. It seems to be universally loved all around the globe. People play soccer, right? And for me, I'm torn between two national teams. My place of birth is the United States of America, so I have a special place for that team. I root for them, and I pull for them. I know they're not the best. I don't want to hear that Team USA stinks. I know we're getting better. Our problem is our best players are playing football and basketball, okay, and baseball and tennis and golf. They're all over the place. Soccer is not a focus. If it was, I think we would be even better. Our team would be great. Can you imagine getting a LeBron James out there to play soccer? Kevin Durant. Look at some of these guys. Amazing. Zion Williamson. Can you imagine trying to stop him from heading the ball in? Guy can jump up. His head went over the rim. The rim is 10 feet high. Imagine trying to stop him. It's amazing. And, of course, I'm an Italian, so I pull for Italy in the World Cups. When I was little, we'd sit around with the family and watch these World Cups. And every 4 years, I make sure I tune in for all the games, and I'm always rooting for America and for Italy. When it comes to professional teams, I'm not a huge professional soccer fan, to be honest with you. I am a Serie A Italian league watcher when I do. I know there's other leagues that are as good or better, but that's what I watch. So when I'm thinking about teams, I'm a Juventus fan, okay? That's where I grew up. When I was little, the jerseys I wore were Juventus jerseys. And just recently, everybody there knows, I'm sure, Juventus took on one of the greatest players ever to their team, Ronaldo. We've had this debate in class before, but some students, who's better, Ronaldo or Messi? Even though Juventus has Ronaldo, I still kind of think Messi is the better player. But what do I know? I'm just a spectator. I don't really know the deep darkness of it or the deep levels, but I do know that he is an incredible player. And for all I can hear, he's a great guy. If you go back and you look during one World Cup, he had this weird design. It looked like cut into the side of his head. Turns out there was a young boy who had brain cancer, who had surgery, and called upon Ronaldo and said, listen, you're my favorite player. Go out there and do great. So Ronaldo had his barber carve in the same scar mark into his head as a way of telling the kid that he was thinking of him. And he went out and had a great game. Ronaldo seemed like a great guy. He's on a great team. He's an incredible player. So I thought you'd probably enjoy this little video.
Ronaldo! Ma quanto s'ha dato! Uno stacco pazzesco alla Michael Jordan!
That's a great video again. I mean, if you're a Ronaldo fan or a soccer fan, I mean, you know how good he is. Okay, you know anything about soccer, you know how great he is. Okay, so let's talk about what actually is a sport. What does it mean? You hear sport. I listed the four we're going to cover. I showed you some videos about them, quick clip things. But now let's talk about what a sport is. And for Wikipedia, it talks about it includes all forms of competitive physical activity or games which, through casual or organized participation, meaning that could be casual, go out there, play by yourself, play with your friends, shoot hoops, hit the ball around, kick the ball around, have a 4-on-4 football game, touch football, tackle football, whatever you want to do. Just go out there and play, okay? Casual. Could be organized. You join the wrestling team in the middle school. When you get there, their wrestling team is always great. Great coaches, great teamwork, okay? All the time, okay? That is organized. Your soccer teams, your football teams, organized participation. And it's at least in part, the aim is to use, maintain, or improve your physical ability and skills while providing enjoyment to the participants, meaning not only are you getting healthier, you're getting physical activity, not just playing video games, you're getting these physical activities. It's going to make you healthier. It's going to make you better at what you're doing. Your skills will be better. Your balance is going to be better. Your speed will be better. Your hand-eye coordination will be better. All those things get better the more you play. And enjoying it, okay? In some cases, you're playing for people. They're coming to watch you play. Take a look at sports on TV. Right now is a crazy time. When sports are in full swing, you're looking at baseball stadiums, 50,000 people there. Basketball, you're looking at 19,000, 20,000 people showing up. Football, college football, 100,000 people show up for games. Okay? Soccer, 80,000, 90, as many people could fit in a place, they're going to fit them in. Entertainment. People love sports. I love sports. If you're here, you probably love sports, okay? Sports can be for fun. It could be organized. It could be for yourself. It could be for spectators. All the things are fair game when it comes to sports. Some origins of sports, just some things to think about. Whoops, let me go back. Sorry, popped ahead too far. The history of sports extends back to the ancient world. Physical activity developed into sports had early links with ritual, warfare, and entertainment. Meaning, back in the day, sports were ritual. A certain time of year, a certain event, you did a sport. For warfare, we're preparing for war. Let's have these contests, have these feats of strength, these physical feats to see. And then just for entertainment. Back in the day, the Romans, okay? You have the Colosseum, you have people come in, they would battle it out, okay? Study of the history of sport can teach lessons about social changes. I mentioned earlier, when baseball first started, it was segregated, okay? How has it changed since then, okay? How has the nature of the sport itself changed? Okay, not just the way it developed over time into the game we play today, but how has the inclusion changed? How has things changed? Okay, it's an amazing growth in some of these sports. And as one delves further back into history, their theories of the origins and purposes of sports are more and more difficult to support, meaning as we go further and further back, we know there were sports, we know they were doing things. But what were these original purposes, okay? We're kind of just going out there and we're giving them purpose, okay, based on what we know. As far back as the beginnings of sports, it seemed to have been related to military training, as I mentioned a little earlier. For example, competition was used as a way to determine which individuals were fit and useful for service. Think about it. If you're running an army, you're running a group of people who are going to be fighting to protect you. Do you want people who are going to be not a team, who are not going to work together, who are not going to help each other, who are not prepared. No, you want people who are ready, who can work as a unit, work as a team, and support each other. Okay, team sports were used to train, improve the capability to fight in the military and to work together as a team. Think about that. Everything when these sports revolves around teams, okay? Baseball, you're as a pitcher, you have to be confident that your team behind you will catch the ball when it's hit. Okay, you're playing basketball. If you throw a pass, you have to be confident that your teammate's going to get that pass and take a shot and get it in. Soccer, hey, if you're going up to try and score a goal, you're charging forward, you're a striker, you're going up, you have to be super confident the guys behind you got it covered. You're so far away from your goal at that point. You need to be confident that your team can work as a unit. Works for that in every sport. Even some sports you might not think are so much team involved, they are. Wrestling, as I mentioned earlier, which is huge in the middle school. It is a team game. You fight individually, you wrestle individually, but you build points for your team. Whatever weight class you're at, you have to be confident your teammates are going to do their best so you can be victors. Sports is like anything. It's like a friendship. It's like a group. Brings us together. There were cave paintings found in France that appear to depict sprinting and wrestling about 15,300 years ago. So these caves, people are living in caves, even in Mongolia, 7,000 years ago, seems to be showing some type of wrestling. There were cave swimmers in Egypt. They found these caves and all these drawings of swimming and archery. That's, shooting a bow and arrow, okay? Cave paintings in Japan show something that looks like sumo wrestling. So we're talking sports has been around. Sports has been a thing since people lived in caves. They weren't even building houses yet, but they were figuring out ways to have these contests, okay? Sports was a big deal, still is a big deal. Excuse me. I love sports. I'm sure you can tell. I'm getting very excited about this class because I want to share so much knowledge with you guys. The first organized sports. So when did the sports start becoming organized? It seemed like the Chinese may have engaged in sports as early as 2000 BCE. So that would be about 4,000 years ago. It seemed to be some type of gymnastics activities. And the Mayans played a ball game called pits. Not too much information on it, but it seems to be, the first sport involving a ball. It was probably played 2500 BCE, which is 4,500 years ago. This could be the earliest origins of soccer. Think about it. We've got a ball, it rolls. What are we going to do with it? Let's kick it around. It makes sense, right? It's on the ground. You kick it. Okay, let's kick it to each other. Okay, look at that little spot there. Try to kick it through that spot. Okay. Soccer probably began to form based on this ancient thing 4,500 years ago. And the most famous sports contest, of course, from the beginning, was the Olympics. The Olympics seem to be the start of these organized activities. Got a little video for you on the Olympics. So let's check it out.
Every few years, thousands of the finest athletes in the world gather together to compete in the Olympic Games. They come from hundreds of countries, from all parts of the globe, and for the length of the Games, the world comes together on common ground in a celebration of peace and unity. But what are the Olympics? The first Olympic Games took place in Greece nearly 3,000 years ago in 776 BC. They were athletic competitions held in honor of Zeus, the king of the gods. The Games happened every 4 years, and during the Games there was an Olympic truce when wars and battles were not allowed so that the athletes from different cities could travel safely to and from the Games. Originally, the Olympic Games only had one event, a short race across a stadium. But through the years, more events were added, including boxing, wrestling, long jump, throwing javelins and discus, and chariot racing. In the ancient Olympics, only men were allowed to compete. The winners were awarded a wreath or crown of olive branches, which was a great honor, and often received money and other prizes. The final games of the ancient Olympics were held in 393 AD, ending a tradition of over 1,000 years. It wasn't until almost 1,500 years later that someone tried to hold the Olympics again. Small events modeled after the ancient Olympics were held in various places in Europe off and on for over 100 years, until the International Olympic Committee was created in 1894 by Baron Pierre de Coubertin of France. The first games organized by the IOC took place in Athens, Greece in 1896 and featured 241 athletes from 14 countries. Since that small beginning, many things have changed. Women first competed in the Olympics in 1900. The Olympics were expanded to include winter sports like skiing and figure skating, and special Winter Olympics were held to make that possible. Parallel Olympics, now known as the Paralympics, began to be held for athletes with disabilities. Not so long ago, Youth Games were introduced, which allows athletes between the age of 14 and 18 to compete. Today, the Olympic Games are held every 2 years, with Summer Olympics and Winter Olympics alternating, so that there are 4 years between each Summer Olympic Games and 4 years between each Winter Olympic Games. These are only some of the differences between the ancient Olympics and the modern Olympic Games. While the ancient Olympics were held in the same place each time, the modern Olympics are held in different cities around the world. In the ancient Olympics, winners were awarded olive branches, but in the modern Olympics, the victors receive medals. Third place wins bronze, second place wins silver, and first place gets a gold medal. The gold medals are not actually made of solid gold, however. They are made of silver covered with a thin layer of gold. Another important symbol of the Olympics is the Olympic rings. 5 interlocking rings of blue, yellow, black, green, and red on a white background. The colors of the rings were chosen because every flag in the world at the time had at least one of those colors on it. Each of the 5 rings represents one of the inhabited continents of the world. North and South America are counted as one, along with Africa, Asia, Europe, and Australia. After the rings, one of the most important symbols of the Olympics is the Olympic flame, or torch. The lighting of the torch is a reminder of the ancient Greek myth when Prometheus stole fire from the god Zeus to give it to humans. Before each Olympics, the torch is lit in a special ceremony at the site of the ancient Olympics in Olympia, Greece. It travels around Greece and then begins a special journey to the city that will host the Olympics. During the opening ceremonies of the Games, the torch is used to light a huge cauldron, which stays burning until the Olympics' last day. When the flame is put out, it means the official end of the Games. The goal of the Olympics is to help build a better, more peaceful world through international cooperation, friendship, and the love of the Games. The most important thing in the Olympic Games is not to win, but to take part, just as the most important thing in life is not the triumph, but the struggle. The essential thing is not to have conquered, but to have fought well. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Olympics today. Goodbye till next time.
Okay, so that was just a little clip about the Olympics. I hope everyone liked it. I liked it, so hopefully you did too. Now, next week we'll begin our content. Surprise as to which sport I'm going to start with. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. I think you will. I'm very excited to share this with you. I'm going to set up a Google Classroom for us so we can bounce ideas off of each other. You can give me suggestions, questions, comments, all that good stuff. So I look forward to seeing everybody. I look forward to working with everybody. I really hope that you enjoy this class. Again, I wish we could be together. I wish we could be sitting there in a classroom learning and then getting outside and playing. Again, hopefully in the fall, things will be back to normal and we'll be able to do this in person as well. So guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to sharing all this stuff with you. Yeah, everybody take care. And again, it's Mr. Releasy. Feel free to reach out to me anytime you need anything. I thank you. Everybody have a great, great day and weekend.